Is the Portland Thorns looking to ride a 4-match unbeaten string at home, taking on the Orlando Pride with Erica Ayala, Michael Watring, as we take a look at the NWSL standings. Portland playing phenomenal soccer, looking to get to the top of the table. Meanwhile, Orlando at the bottom of the table right now, a lot at stake in this match here at the middle portion of the year.
Indeed, Orlando definitely has some work to do, but they will try to do that against the Thorns tonight.
Portland has scored multiple goals in 4 consecutive matches. They lit the lamp 4 times in a 4-0 win against Houston,
including getting one super early in the match, an own goal. And then Sophia Smith with a brace also set up the Moultrie goal for a 4-0 win over Houston.
Moultrie becoming the youngest player in NWSL history to score a goal in the matchup, as Sophia Smith had a brace in that match. She's tied for second in the league in goals scored, 6 this year. Her maturation continues as one of the top strikers in the country.
Very exciting player to watch. Also 5th overall in the league, 50% on target rate. So when she's shooting them true.
One difficult stop that she'll have to deal with, Erin McLeod, 1 save away from 250 career saves in all competitions. She is as solid as there is in this league at the goalkeeping slot.
And that's exactly what you want, a veteran presence between the pipes for an Orlando team really looking to get stronger and get the type of results they feel their team is worthy of.
Taking a look at the Portland starting 11 for this match. Smith right at the top in this 4-3-3 formation for Regan Wilkinson.
And we mentioned, of course, you've got Moultrie there that has been such a bright spot for such a stacked Portland Thorns squad.
So here comes the Orlando starting 11 for this group. No Sydney LaRue for a second consecutive match, meaning Darian Jenkins, Abby Kim, and Julie Doyle will all have a little bit extra on their shoulders in this attack.
Yes, like a lot of other teams struggling with injury, but Orlando's going to have to look to some of their veterans to really get going against this Portland squad.
So it is Portland and Orlando just about ready for kickoff. When we come back, we'll set the stage for this matchup. Portland, Orlando here at Providence Park coming your way. Stick with us. Prior to the start of every match this weekend, the NWSL and its clubs joined in nationwide celebrations of Juneteenth with a performance of the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. The NWSL wishes all a happy Juneteenth.
And of course, Juneteenth is short for June 19th. That is the day that enslaved people in Galveston, Texas were informed of the end of the Civil War, and thus the practice of slavery in the United States. That was 2 months after the official end of the Civil War and over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So happy Juneteenth to all, but especially those in Galveston, Texas.
So we're just about ready for kickoff. Happy Father's Day as well to all those out there for this matchup, as we're just about ready for the 14th rendition between these clubs with Erica Ayala, Michael Watring for this matchup, as you take a look at Seb Hines filling in for Orlando Pride on an interim basis right now. Regan Wilkinson leads Portland on the other side, and Portland with a victory has a chance to put themselves at the top of the table with Chicago in this week's NWSL standings after Chicago drew with Kansas City yesterday 2-2. Our official is Samantha Martinez, who blows the whistle, and here we go from Providence Park to start off this matchup. 2 teams on opposite runs of form overall right now. It is a Portland team that has scored at least 2 goals in 4 straight during an unbeaten string, while Orlando is looking to avoid being shut out for a 3rd consecutive match.
And we also know that both teams will have a handful of players that have been called up to international duty. We'll talk about that, but this will be the last set of games before a little bit of a break, and the NWSL will return next next month, July 3rd.
Roughly a 10-day break or so for these teams between this action with the international duties calling. And plenty of international talent on the pitch. No Kristen St. Clair for Portland. Megan Klingenberg also out of the lineup as well for the Thorns as they make a couple changes. Orlando without its top goal scorer for the year in Sydney LaRue as they get the opening corner kick wearing the all-whites against the blacks of the Portland Thorns. Here comes this corner kick, sizzling to the penalty spot. Only one player there, and that's Cuica. Shuffled back towards the middle of the field. A lot of defenders inside of the box. This ball swung in, and Bella Bixby there to pull it down. 25 saves overall in the year, and she always likes to get things rolling as she throws it forward.
Being able to start their offense so quickly, part of the reason that Portland can be so lethal and deadly, and Orlando going to have to really tighten up defensively against this Thorns squad, especially when they've got the home crowd.
Portland has scored 7 times in the first 30 minutes of matches this season. Most potent offense here at the early portion of the year against an Orlando team that has conceded far too often. Enters 11th in the NWSL, but dead last in goal differential at -9.
And on the other side of that, as you mentioned, very potent offense here, 1.9 goals a game. The Thorns are averaging, and in their last contest against Houston, quickest goal of this NWSL season, the 10th overall. Exciting times to be a part of the NWSL.
This cross gets sliced out. 44th second was that goal that Portland put in the net against Houston. Houston scored early, often, and late as well in the 4-0 blanking of the Dash. 3 wins, 4 draws through 8 matches this year. So typically a team that's walking away with points. They have led or been tied for 306 consecutive minutes, dating back to falling behind 2-1 to Chicago on May 28th. Four in the back for Orlando as this ball is pushed forward and taken away. Cuica sends through Moultrie, retreating to Becky. Along the far sideline and waiting for it. Where can Orlando find some seams in this back line for Portland? Going against Pogarsh. Taken away, and the Thorns do well defensively again as Moultrie comes back again to hold up possession for the home side. All the running that Orlando having to do here early. Clever play along the sideline, and a lot of real estate here for Cuica. She has options as well. Cuica through a defender. Sophia Smith just wide left. Dazzling play, though, by the Thorns to start off the match.
And you see it starts early up the field for Portland as they just have a knack for where they're going to be on the pitch using that full side there. Cuica coming up and able to find a little nutmeg there. Find Sophia Smith, who just barely goes wide of the post.
McLeod got a piece, so it is a corner kick here for the Thorns. A quick strike attack this season. Smith pushes it into the box. Back post and a left-footed volley by Sugita. And over the bar. It was set up well for Sugita, who hails from Japan, closing in on 30 caps for her native country.
And And again, Portland just knowing exactly what they want to do and being able to execute at will. That final strike, on the volley did not work out that time, but there was no one there marking up. And that's something that Orlando is going to have to fix if they want to be competitive in this match.
Shows the overall skill set of Sophia Smith. Not only can she score goals at the second best rate in the NWSL this year, she has a goal or an assist at least in the last 4 matches, and a great service from the corner flag. And it's a reason why a lot feel very confident with her potential future with the U.S. women's national team.
Yes, we mentioned that there will be some call-ups. Overall, 10 for this Portland Thorns side and 3 for Orlando, representing not just the United States, a lot of other nations also taking this window.
A foul whistled here. Good hustle by Smith. And drawing the foul, and another dangerous opportunity coming from outside of the box. Orlando lost Sugita off of the corner moments ago. And they mark better off of this kick. Sam Coffey ready to take it. Low liner. This time an Orlando head gets to it first. Not completely out of trouble, but Portland helps in that cause as the Thorns have to retreat. Ball poked. Rocky Rodriguez hustling, but won't have the wheels to get to the touchline. It goes out for a goal kick.
Rodriguez can be such a dynamic player. Also has international experience with Costa Rica. Came up with, at the time, Sky Blue FC, which of course Gotham inherits their history, but is with the Portland Thorns these days.
Smith looking to run onto this ball. It's too far, and McLeod picks it up. There's been a lot of changeover, a lot of different things that have happened with this Orlando organization as they try to get things together. And speaking with Seb Hines before the match, a foul whistled on Orlando. He mentioned the fact that it just hasn't had as many training sessions as he would have liked, but certainly feels that the team has handled everything extremely well as they go through this difficult situation with the changeover and everything going on.
And it's the scheduling has been something that, depending on the club, has either been a thorn, no pun intended, or something that has been advantageous at spurts here. And this is, for the first year, what we have is an even schedule. So all teams will play each other 2 times in this regular season. Now, of course, that doesn't count what we already saw in the Challenge Cup. But as many matches as you want to get in, you also have to have ample time for recovery and time on the pitch together in training. So striking that balance for some teams has been a little more difficult than others as we get ready for this international break.
You mentioned the schedule. How about Orlando having to make this long trek across the country? The good news for them, like you mentioned, the international break right after this, but certainly it's been a taxing time for all clubs, not just the travel, but also having to battle with some midweek matches as well. The Challenge Cup, some teams are playing as many as 7 matches in less than a month.
But what we hear time and time again is, nevertheless, it's next player up.
Good defending there by Sugita, but Bixby gives it right back to Orlando. Nearly 10 minutes gone by in our opening half for Orlando and Portland, and it has been a series dominated by the Thorns, winning 9 of the first 13 and 5 of the last 7 overall.
It's more or less what we expect from this Thorns franchise. It's what we've seen. That in addition to what looks like another healthy crowd here. Usually getting about 14K. It's such a great organization. Lots of support from the community.
Well, there's very few places in the United States at any level any gender that you can have an atmosphere quite like this here at Providence Park, and it is a place that if you haven't been, put it on the bucket list and make a journey, because Providence Park is as good as it gets for overall atmosphere and the quality of football as well.
Right on cue. Look at that crowd shot there. So Orlando's going to have a corner here.
Second corner of the match for the Pride. High arcing ball near the 6. Still in the air. Portland hasn't done well yet, but Bixby is able to catch it after a couple pokes.
Those high corners are a little difficult because you have to manage that high kick and be mindful of it. So you kind of saw both teams as now Portland trying to make a run. But both teams have to try and win that aerial battle.
It was Kuika again that was making that sprinting pace for Portland. Both teams settling into this match nicely, and for Orlando, big key here on the road, surviving that opening quarter hour. Foul whistled on Orlando. And off the restart, let's see if Portland can get something moving. This is a finely tuned ball along the sideline. Moultrie making that run. Very good defending. Bodies collide, and a foul is whistled on Sugita, the 25-year-old, first season with the Thorns.
Orlando player slow to get up there.
Let's see what the Pride can do here off of the free kick. And promptly given right away. Good bit of defending. Orlando back onto possession. Kuika, nifty little shake there. Sends this one right back toward the cage. The fans a little nervy for a moment, but Bixby always had it covered. Orlando has about 3 pushing forward. Otherwise, they're really in a defensive overall formation. Looking to handle this overall attack. 5 different players have scored in the last 4 matches. The depth and talent of this unit without Sinclair out there, who has 3 goals in her last 2 NWSL matches. Despite her absence, still very potent up top. Hubley launches it along. Fine first touch, but in an offside position. Janine Becky, last 4 seasons with Manchester City, and part of the gold medal winning team at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics with Canada. Pace along this sideline, swung through the box. Answered well. Not completely out of harm's way, but look at Smith tracking back. Looking to send along Sugita, and now joining the fray. Portland with some numbers forward. Sugita. Fine defending as Sugita will have to track it back down. Still space in the box as this one's lifted over the top of the bar. McLeod watches it over. But yet again, Portland looking threatening in the attack.
Yeah, we see Sophia Smith right here. Advances that ball. just really great speed. You also see, though, excellent defensive effort there by Orlando to push that away and out of danger.
Darian Jenkins does well defensively to track back from her midfield position. It's great to have you with us for this matchup. 16 minutes gone by. I'm Michael Watring, joined by Erica Ayala and our entire crew. Come in, stay a while. Looking forward to watch this one with you. Throw-in coming for the Pride. Orlando this season has had issues keeping the ball out of the net and scoring early. Just 3 first-half goals this season. They've allowed 9. There's a ball through the box. Chested down, and a chance for Orlando is saved by Bixby. A strong left hand, and that keeps Orlando off of the board. Smith with a run out. Sophia Smith around 2 defenders, trying to hold on to the ball. It gets poked away, and Orlando, just like Portland did, dodges a bullet off of an empty attacker inside of the box.
See this ball in by Kim. And oh my, just an amazing effort right there to keep that going. But then Sophia Smith uses her speed. And Erin McLeod had come out. That ball, though, cleared by Orlando. What a sequence on both sides.
Well, it was Doherty Howard latching up to it for Orlando initially. Bixby with a critical save. Still scoreless as Portland prepares for a corner. A low liner headed. Great diving stop by McLeod. Both keepers coming up large in the last minute.
Are you not entertained? What a save by Erin McLeod. We mentioned the veteran presence of this Orlando squad in between the pipes. Coming up big right there. And was Presley ultimately able to clear that out of harm's way. Ooh, what a header, though. What a chance on net there by Portland.
Becky Sauerbrunn having the opportunity as Smith sends this one out. Sauerbrunn hasn't scored in almost 3 years, just 4 goals for her NWSL career. And a player that has north of 200 caps with the U.S. nearly opened our scoring, each side with great chances. And Marian Wilkinson, her first season on the bench here in Portland, has to be happy with how her team was able to handle that sequence, starting with the defense and promptly turning it into a breakaway chance.
Excitement abound in this match.
Well, one thing that you can pretty much ensure in this series is that Portland will score. In the first 13 meetings, they've scored 12 of those 13, including 10 in a row. The only time that they failed to score was a draw back in 2017.
It's well in the way before.
Another opportunity as Orlando tries to find a little bit of threat in the attack, but excellent defending and rightly deserving an applause. Portland's been so good in tight spaces against a couple defenders as a foul is whistled here against Orlando. Doherty Howard, the guilty party, the 25-year-old from Largo, Florida.
And that's a tough one for Doherty Howard. Kind of looked like she might have been the party to be run over there, but we play on.
Switching fields with space. Hubley. Ahead for Cuica. Moultrie taps outside. Becky. Becky sliding through the middle. Cuica can't hold it up as Presley intercepts. Promptly given right back. Now swung into the box. Sunita puts it home. Portland has opened the scoring. Sugita with her second of the season. And the Thorns beat McLeod and make it 1-0.
And there's not much that McLeod can do. You've got Sunita coming in, everyone kind of watching. This clearance doesn't pass the Thorns. As you see, Becky gets that in, and then able just to cut through space is Sugita there. Excellent play there.
Well, it's a well-timed run from Sugita. And a dynamite pass from Janine Becky. Latching up with Sugita. Her second of the year, scored against Chicago on May 28th. And it is the Thorns on top, 1-0.
I'm paraphrasing what you said earlier, but I think it was something like death, taxes, and early Thorn goal.
It is consistent. It is the 8th time this year that Portland has scored in the first 30 minutes. To put that into perspective, Orlando has scored 9 goals all season long.
Wow. That's quite the firepower there for the Portland Thorns team. Again, such a great atmosphere. We already heard that not only do they enjoy goals, but they enjoy good play, and have already given praise to their players for the defensive efforts that have led to some of their chances.
Well, that save by Bella Bixby off of that Doherty Howard chance ensured that Orlando wasn't going to get on the scoreboard first. And the dynamic play of this Portland Thorns crew. A breakaway, a corner kick, and then off of a giveaway, a fine pass from Becky. And Sugita slots it home with a great running volley. We're going to learn a lot about this Orlando team over the next 70 minutes or so. They haven't gone scoreless in 3 straight matches since 2016. That was the first season as an organization. It's the only other time that it's happened. Ball played backwards. Better possession for a moment there for Orlando, but Moultrie does well defensively, and this is what Portland does so well. They get the ball, and they're ready to roll. Sugita. This time she elects to take the ball at her feet. Runners certainly in the box. Decisions. And a foul is whistled on Orlando. I think that ball might have came up and clipped a hand.
And it's the counterattack that's so deadly for Portland, and it's that type of style, really being able to utilize the full pitch that you see more at the international level. And I think that has a lot to do with just some of the amazing players that come through this Portland organization, that they have a good feel and find their way, as we see the replay there. Which is why we're getting the reset here. Definitely a handball, but just a great style that Portland has when they're running at full speed.
Already with 1 goal in the match. A low liner on frame. McLeod with a save, and there is Sauerbrunn. She puts it home. 5th consecutive match. Portland has scored multiple goals. And the veteran defender makes it 2-0 Portland.
And if you could just see the faces in the huddle, you talked about it earlier. What about that broadcaster jinx? In this case, Becky Sauerbrunn follows up. McLeod had to make an amazing save on a low and strong strike from the spot. And Becky Sauerbrunn gets her first goal of the season.
Sauerbrunn with her 5th career NWSL goal. And how about this run of form right now by a dynamic Portland crew? Becky Sauerbrunn, a 4-time NWSL Defender of the Year, showcases her attacking skills.
See that she's wearing that captain's armband, and for good reason. Also getting the crowd into it.
Well, how about the decision as well from Sam Coffey on the free kick to take aim rather than lob it into the box. And because she did so, forced McLeod to answer questions, and Sauerbrunn there unmarked to put it home.
It's that second ball that Orlando's going to have to watch because Portland's all over it. So making sure you're marking up, let McLeod do what McLeod's going to do, but then that means defensively Orlando has to be there to support their keeper.
Well, Orlando has had issues keeping the ball out of the net. Now 11 first-half goals conceded on the season, and a massive hill to climb for this Pride group, but it is Portland showcasing the skills in about a 5-minute window. 2 goals.
Absolutely love it, and Sauerbrunn can still get it done. Knock Kim right to her feet on that one, and then in true Becky Sauerbrunn spirit, make sure that there's no love lost. It's all in a day's work. Amazing player, Becky Sauerbrunn, who opted to come to this Thorns squad to be closer to her home when she's not playing with the national team or in the NWSL. Makes her home in Portland.
Her most recent stop was with Utah for a couple seasons. This is her 3rd year with the Thorns. Does Orlando have any kind of response? They've been limited to 2 shots in the match. And the accuracy of Portland, 5 of the 6 shot attempts so far have been on target. Smith glides through a couple defenders, punches it for Sugita, and it's eventually picked up by McLeod. McLeod does have 3 saves, so she's over that 250 overall competition's career save mark.
Had to get there quick in this game against Portland.
Certainly quicker than she would have liked, but I think at the end of it all, there wasn't a whole lot for her to have done with either of the 2 goals that Portland has scored. Maybe McLeod might be hard on herself with the second one, perhaps thinking she could have cleared it better, but she did well enough just to get to the ball in general off of the free kick.
Again, such a great service in, striking that straight on and true. Becky Sauerbrunn able to follow up. Mentioned the 2 shots for Orlando, 6 for Portland, 5 of those on frame. Each team with 2 corners so far in this match. And that might be an opportunity for Orlando, pushing it up, getting into their attacking zone, but then also trying to force some set pieces, trick Portland a little bit, see if they can win some battles off of set pieces. Because in the run of play, we see already what the Portland Thorns want to do and have been successful.
Well, now ahead 2-0. They'll be more than content with holding on to a little bit of possession. And this is very fancy. A solid slide tackle. Last touched by Orlando. Jonsdottir with a good slide tackle. Actually, they said it was last touched by Portland at the last second. Samantha Martinez.
Well, Jonsdottir was advocating right from the jump for that. But Portland ends up with another throw-in anyway.
Smith, quick turn. Sophia Smith, right along the line, magically works through a couple defenders. And a shot attempt. Not well hit, but you see the magic of Sophia Smith.
Look at this. Who else but Sophia Smith can use this space? Not much given. Oh, my. And then that ball trickles over to Rocky Rodriguez, and you can tell she knows she didn't get the hit that she wanted. Rocky knows that she can do better than that. But all in good fun, especially when you have a 2-goal lead. But you can be creative. Portland has played creative from the jump, and when they get these early goals, they can continue to play in that form instead of pressing. That's the freedom that you have when you're able to execute early.
For Portland, after this will be a couple road trips to Angel City and then OL Reign when things restart. Friday night, July 1st will be when they're back in action after the international break. And it's a team that has drawn twice, and 2 goals has been perhaps the bugaboo for this team. 4-0 and 3-0 wins, but 2-2 draws in the others. And a yellow card will be distributed here in the 32nd minute.
Saw that Portland wanted to get a foul of their own, and then after not getting it, makes perhaps a little bit of a statement right here.
Matty Pogarsh, the guilty party.
Yeah, and that was away from the ball. So Pogarsh again showing a little bit of frustration.
Sets up a dead ball reset for Orlando, and they elect to play short. 4 players within about 2-3 yards of each other for Orlando. Now they get a little more spread. Not enough on that pass as it comes to a halt. Given right back to the Thorns.
You saw they were trying to do a little overlap, but as you mentioned, relatively close to one another. As we've seen Portland be able to use the field, and Rodriguez was wondering if we were going to see a stoppage there, a little tug of those clean white kits for Orlando, the white and silver. There it goes, clear as day.
So let's see what Orlando elects to do this time around. It is swung into the box, headed down, and picked up by Bixby, sliding forward off of the free kick.
Can see the idea there by Orlando. I think we're just pushed out a little bit too far from frame. And Bixby, that header was swung down. Can always be a little bit deceiving. Don't know how it's going to bounce. Actually looks like it went off of head of a Portland player. But Bixby was there.
34th minute of action. Portland leads 2-0. Goals from Sugita and Sauerbrunn. We have the Thorns on top with our entire crew. I'm Michael Watring, joined by Eric Ayala for this matchup. Portland started the regular season with just 1 win through its first 5 matches. Since, winners of 2 of 3. Shutouts in that stretch and some big scoring opportunities for the team. In the last 4 matches, they have scored 11 goals. And now 2 more here today, so 13 for the group in the last 4+. Looking to see out the rest of this first half in full control of this match against the Pride.
Pride Road Warriors in this Pride month, as we mentioned earlier. First against Portland for the season, but they're 3rd on the road in the month of July. Happy Pride, happy Juneteenth, happy Pride-teenth. For those who follow the Shea Butter FC podcast.
Good interception. Rodriguez strong with it. Moultrie. Smith taken off of it by a sliding Presley. Flared out wide. Now swung in. Becky. A couple misplays by the Orlando back line. Smith was salivating but couldn't adjust in time to get to it. Orlando winless in the last 4. Rodriguez trying to give out wide once more. Sugita will intercept again. Here's this pressure of the Thorns. It's led to a couple goals already.
Just dominating possession in this match so far.
Space for Rodriguez. Smith heavy on the touch. And cleared out wide. A throw in coming, though. Becky. And a foul is whistled on Olivia Moultrie. And Orlando will get a chance to alleviate the pressure with that. Goal concession has been a massive problem with this Orlando team this year. 5 times they've given up at least 2 goals.
From their last match, Orlando, that is. As you see, foul there. It's Guica on the ground. No card assessed. Isabello mixes it up with Guica. But heard from Seb Hines, felt that the second half was more to how Orlando wanted to play. Felt that they were building on a strong foundation. We've mentioned that they've had to deal with not only injury, but also just some changes that have happened throughout the club.
Moultrie into the box. Presley steps to it. Orlando able to get it away. The big question that he had was, can they get more aggressive higher up the field? And so far at this point, it probably hasn't gone the way that Orlando would have liked, despite that great chance that they had in the 17th minute when Doherty Howard was inside of the 6-yard box and Bixby came up with a save.
And want that to be more of the norm as opposed to the exception. Have those flashes of what they want to be, but have to build the consistency.
Moultrie retreats. Coffee. Now into the box. Back post. Becky gets ahead to it. McLeod jumps into the air to grab the ball.
Orlando did a great job marking up Becky on that to make that difficult for her. So it's those little flashes that they need to be able to build upon. That's exactly what we've seen Portland do so far. Orlando will find their stride.
Smith continues on her run, has options. Flings it through a couple defenders, gives it back. Becky about pulling the trigger.
It's even right there with Sophia Smith. You see that she tries to send a ball in, it gets deflected, but then she goes after that 50-50 ball. And that's how you create chances.
Kelly Hubley frustrated. Needs some medical attention. Samantha Martinez immediately motioning to the sideline.
See, she's frustrated. But if there's any indication that there was contact to the head, among other things, of course, if there's any open skin wound that needs to be handled, those are just non-negotiables. And for good reason. Not always what the athletes want to hear.
Well, one kick and Hubley right back out there as we restart action here. Moments to go before the end of the first half. Can Orlando find a strike, a team that has been held scoreless in back-to-back matches? have not had a lead since May 18th in any contest. Becky takes it away. Smith. Sugita. Surveying. Tried to find Moultrie. Instead, it eludes her and is gobbled up by McLeod.
I'm fairly certain it was not the intent, but these Thorns unis are giving me serious Stranger Things vibes. Guess it's that recency bias, you know?
You were sitting down with Netflix and watching a few episodes in the last few days, huh?
Yeah, might have been. Lots of Kate Bush in rotation.
What's your review on the latest season of Stranger Things so far?
Well, I think for anyone who hasn't started, you'll have a chance. There'll be a second part to season 4, so I think I'll save my review until then.
Here it's Portland on top, 2-0. Orlando has not scored since stoppage time goals against the Spirit on May 27th. Meanwhile, the Thorns looking for a third. Smith will give chase, but McLeod will pick it up. And in that Spirit matchup, those were some dramatic goals after falling behind 2-0 in stoppage time. Clough and Jenkins scored to pull out a draw out of that match. Right now, it is all Portland in control, 8 shots to 2, and possession at about 57% in favor of the Thorns. But the Pride looking for just a goal.
See if we see Clough, but leading this Orlando squad in goals, 2 on the season. Also, Michaela Clough, one of the call-ups to the U23 for the United States. As we mentioned, that international window coming up for a lot of these players, 3 for Orlando, 10 overall for Portland. Mentioned Raquel Rodriguez with Costa Rica, Guica for Finland, Sugita for Japan, Sauerbrunn, one of the goal scorers for the United States, among others.
Here is Guica. Smith spinning, taken off the ball. Just not enough weight on that pass. Portland able to regain possession and reignite the attack. Rodriguez.
This game was played true to the clock for the most part, but as we get close to the end of the half, we'll see if there's any stoppage time.
A lot of the action happening on this end of the field. Pushed along, still in control. And then taking a tumble is Coffey, drawing the foul. She's already taken aim off of one of these set pieces. Peterson, the guilty party. Take another glance at this. Look at all of the white jerseys around. Really no need to commit that foul, but Peterson does so.
Yeah, you saw that Kim had come back already, had readjusted the angle there, and then a late clip. It's going to be a foul every time, and although not outside of the box, I should say, a pretty direct shot toward McLeod.
1 minute of stoppage time. Coffey hits it into the wall. Still in control, though, as it's a corner kick coming up for Portland. As the Thorns will try to make this one of the last touches of the opening half. We hit nearly that 1 minute of stoppage time. Coffee strikes this one very low. Didn't get enough of it. Kuika takes aim. And there is your first half whistle. And it is Portland on top 2-0. Erica, what'd you see from the Thorns over the opening 45 minutes?
Overall, I thought they were able to dictate and execute exactly what they wanted, even getting a little bit creative. Always great when defenders score, especially if they haven't scored in quite some time. As far as Orlando, I think we saw some streaks of brilliance of what they wanted to do early on, but they haven't been able to maintain that against this Thorns team.
A Portland team in fine form, cruising through the opening half, leading it 2-0. Sugita scores, and 5 minutes later, it is Sauerbrunn putting one in, and in front of the home fans here at Providence Park, Portland on top, 2-0, multiple goals for the 5th consecutive match. Halftime here at Providence Park, 45 minutes in the books. Stick with us, back with more in a moment. In a first half controlled by the Portland Thorns, it is the home side here at Providence Park, leading it 2-0 over Orlando. Back with Erica Ayala, Michael Watrang. Great to have you with us. And it's been a busy weekend around the NWSL. 3 matches today. 3 have already taken place. And on Friday night, Washington and Racing Louisville opening up the action. And it was Washington scoring first thanks to Trinity Rodman.
What a talent Trinity Rodman is, just able to really put her mark on most every match that she plays for this Spirit team.
Elwell made it 2-0 going into halftime, but then Racing Louisville and Nadia Nadim scoring in the 66th minute, brought one back, and then in the 88th minute for Racing Louisville, Nadim again, her brace completed and stealing a point. Kansas City and Chicago, Saturday afternoon. In the 8th minute, a hot start off of the reset. Kristen Hamilton opening up the scoring for Kansas City.
Hamilton does a little bit of everything for this KC team, including getting them on the board. But off the set piece, off the corner, just an amazing header there. And then from the spot, who else but Mallory Pugh? But this one wasn't over. It's Cece Kaiser, comes back to KC, gets a draw.
OL Reign and Angel City on Saturday as these two sides square off, and it took the 31st minute, and Bethany Bolser was able to bag a goal, sliding here off of the giveaway to make it 1-0. OL Reign. That held up the rest of the match, and the Reign take 3 points from Angel City yesterday. 2 other matches today, Gotham and San Diego. In about 15 minutes, and an hour from now, North Carolina and Houston coming up later today. Here at Providence Park, it is Portland on top of the Orlando Pride 2-0 thanks to goals from Sugita and Sauerbrunn at the break. Portland on top. When we come back, first half highlights and stats from this matchup. Stick with us as we return here at Providence Park in just a moment. Portland leads Orlando 2-0 at halftime. Back here to Providence Park with Erica Ayala. I'm Michael Watrang. Great to have you with us for this match. It was a frenetic moment in the 17th minute where each side traded chances. As we take a look at the highlights from the opening 45 minutes. But we bagged our first goal in the 21st minute. This was a delightful pass from Janine Becky.
Becky to Sugita to get the Portland Thorns on the board. Just amazing, able to cut through that defense and get Portland on the board.
It was off of a giveaway. Sugita getting her second goal of the season, a tremendous left-footed volley off of a delightful pass from Janine Becky. And that started it 1-0 in favor of the Thorns. McLeod couldn't find the response there, and a good celebration early. And for an electric offensive attack, Sam Coffey taking aim from distance and the cleanup from Becky Sauerbrunn less than 5 minutes later.
And you see this coming off of that free kick. McLeod makes that first save, but before it could even get her leg up off the turf, Becky Sauerbrunn finds the back of the net.
Sauerbrunn scoring for just the 5th time in the NWSL regular season of her career, and first since September of 2019. And that made it 2-0, and that's how the first half came to a close as we take a look at the opening 45 minutes worth of statistics. A really dominant overall effort for the Thorns.
Shots on shots on shots. That's what we see there. Also the possession. They are not dominating the possession as we might think, but definitely have the favor there. Orlando has to be careful with these fouls and giving up opportunities for Portland.
45 minutes in the books here from Providence Park, and it is a 2-0 lead in favor of the Thorns. Second half kickoff coming your way after this message. Getting ready to start the second half of play here at Providence Park. Portland Thorns 2-0 on top of Orlando. One change for the Pride. Viviana Villacorta, the rookie out of UCLA, replaces Abby Kim in the lineup for the Pride. And it is an Orlando team that has failed to score in each of the last 5 halves of action. I'm Michael Watring with our entire crew. My partner, Eric Ayala, for this matchup. And in this second half, what are you looking forward to between these two sides?
For Portland, I think more of the same is what they'd like to see. For Orlando, you see they've already made one substitution. I'm looking to see if they'll be able to make other substitutions here perhaps, or just find a player that can get them that offensive spark that they've been lacking so far.
Portland controlled a lot of the possession early and often throughout that opening 45 minutes of play. Orlando has been very good in the second half in terms of scoring. They've scored 5 goals in the final 15 minutes of action this season. They've had some thrillers at the end, and certainly something that Portland will keep in the back of their mind as they go through this second half. Very good touch in some space now. There's Villacorta. Ball into the box and picked up by Bella Bixby. We had a chance to speak with Rian Wilkinson throughout the week, and she talks about the fact that this is an important match for the team to continue upon this hot little string of play as they get ready for the international window. And they've already considered about how they're going to handle the roster during this stretch. This cross looking for Villacorta. Be gobbled up by Bixby.
Good idea there. Looking for Villacorta there. But just a little bit of a bounce that was awkward. Wasn't able to bring that down. But already you're seeing what Orlando wants to do. Again, having that spark offensively.
Coach Wilkinson was saying about the situation was as much as perhaps she'd like to be able to enjoy the time, she said that her raincoat has gotten more than enough usage up in the Pacific Northwest.
Sounds about right.
Hopes that she can enjoy some time for herself over that stretch. As you take a look back at Becky Sauerbrunn's celebration, she had mentioned on Twitter about 9 days ago that as part of Athletes for Ally, a fundraising campaign, that she was going to donate money if she gets a goal, and there was a few different areas that she would have for donations, and at the end kind of a smirk saying that maybe this will be the campaign that gets me on the scoreboard. And 9 days later, she indeed is able to bag that goal, so that'll be a good donation for that great cause.
I feel like that's very on brand for Becky Sauerbrunn.
Moultrie sifts this one in, and there was Sugita unable to latch onto it, but Rian Wilkinson impressed with both, not just the youth of Moultrie, the professionalism that she shows, but the adaptability of Sugita as well.
Great pieces Portland has. And are usually able to maintain that throughout these NWSL seasons. But it also speaks to just the amazing depth throughout the league. That, you know, Portland is certainly always more than likely going to be a contender, but is not always the top dog, as we see again this season with one of the newer teams making their way to the top.
Entering the weekend, it was Chicago on the top of the table. But as it stands right now, Portland would join San Diego and Chicago at the top of the table. The Wave have been fantastic throughout this early portion of the year. But the way that Portland is playing right now, you almost wish that there wasn't that international break with how good they've been overall here. Now into their 5th consecutive match of multiple goals for the first time in a single season in club history. Orlando starting to give some of that pressure, but that's certainly where Portland can be dangerous. Smith. Moultrie taps it along through the box. It comes out. Cuica took aim now. Rodriguez. Rocky Rodriguez has a shot blocked. Sugita. Last touched by Portland and Sugita. One is out, given right back. Orlando has just 2 shots, and it has been a long time since the last time that the Pride attempted one. 2-0. Mountain seems large. Smith looking to fly it over to Becky, just eludes her left shoelaces. Smith, a #1 overall pick back in 2020. Scored a hat trick in the semifinals of the NCAA tournament, leading Stanford to the national championship that year. The pressure. Moultrie comes out of there with it. Left-footed attempt, wide hooking. Becky from outside of the box took a shot on, and McLeod has seen more shots than anybody in the NWSL from outside of the box.
Kind of saw Orlando playing with that a little bit, just content to pass it to and fro, not really advance the ball very much. I want to see them look upfield or look wide to get some things going.
Sydney Leroux unavailable for this match, and that's certainly a really important and key piece for this attack, and just haven't been able to find the right answers at this point.
Of course, also without Mata.
She's kind of important.
Kind of a big deal. People know her.
Yes. Yeah.
Red lip wearing and all. But again, it's that next player up. We've heard it from a lot of different squads this NWSL season, having to do without
big names. Unfortunately, Kristen Press just joined that group. Lynn Williams, Sam Mewis not back. I mentioned Marta, Sydney LaRue. I mean, unfortunately, the list could have an all-star list on the injured reserve. But we still have to find a way, and Orlando finding it in pieces and pockets, but they need to do more against a Portland squad.
Becky again inside of the box, looking to hold up the ball, punches it through. Smith falling to the ground. Looked perhaps like more than it turned out to be, but Smith again through two defenders, and it all started with the decision making from Becky.
Saw a few entanglements here, and Orlando had to be careful on that one. But even before Smith gets a boot on the ball, Orlando not able to clear with any authority.
Rare moment of possession in the attack here for Orlando, and just like that, it goes out. It's been the story of the day, unfortunately, if you're a Pride fan. Some moments, and you just have to circle back to Maggie Doherty Howard's opportunity in the 17th minute. Could have made it 1-0 instead. Bella Bixby a save, a breakaway, and that began the onslaught for Portland over about a 10-minute window in which they scored twice and put several shots on target. And here they come again. Smith latching on, cannot quite get it up as McLeod decisive, able to come up and pick it up.
Excellent save there by McLeod. We mentioned it, that veteran presence going to need to be big for Orlando, and has done just that. Really coming out there and challenging the younger Sophia Smith, but really aggressive play that is needed for Orlando by their keeper.
It's a good outlet at the other end. Pogarsh does well after Julie Doyle was taking a shot.
And it's that transition that really makes Portland a step above in this particular match, whereas Orlando has not been able to find that corner here for them.
This ball bouncing around inside of the box. Sauerbrunn eventually comes out of there with it. Fails to clear past an Orlando player and gets another crack at it. Pogarsh down. And it goes out for a goal kick.
Talked about it, though, at the top of the second half. An opportunity for Orlando might be to do what they just did. Get these opportunities on corners. That does mean, though, that they're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive running up field.
Perhaps one of the big talking points from Seb Hines, to be more aggressive, knowing that they need to pull back 2 goals.
To go full circle on Kate Bush, they are running up that hill. And they need to do it with no problem. But Portland's a pretty big problem right about now. But Orlando has found success late in games.
Very good move from Moultrie. She picks out Becky. Becky! Oh, too much on that one, wide.
Becky wanted that. As you see, Orlando just late to the spot twice. Not once, but twice. And that gives Becky this opportunity, but shoots that wide. Also had Sophia Smith there, potentially able to punch that through. Doesn't come to fruition for Portland.
Also could have given it right back to Moultrie, but they'll get another chance at it as Becky latches up. This time plays to Smith, and her attempt slightly wide right.
Portland's just feeling it. They look like they're feeling it. Able to shoot at will almost. And again, we talked about it in the first half. When you have an early lead, you can play with a little bit more freedom. Maybe you don't take those chances if it's a tighter match. But when you're able to play with that freedom with consistency, as Portland has been able to do, then that's going to build. And this could be a Portland team that, as we come down the stretch toward the fall months, if they can continue to have that shorthand with each other, know where they're going to be on the pitch and make things happen, get creative, that could be problems and create fits for defenses throughout the league.
Orlando looking for at least one. Portland missing 2 chances in a span of about 60 seconds. Sauerbrunn unable to clear it. Now a long distance dedication. Bixby able to get a hand to it. Darian Jenkins from way out there.
Hey, why not? Looks up, squares up. Bixby with a big save.
Very good skill there by Bixby to get out. Corner kick coming for Orlando. Headed high and a little wide. Presley the target. Tony Presley, the 32-year-old. Had her 100th career regular season appearance almost exactly a month ago against Kansas City.
You know, going back to that strike, I'm okay with that from distance. Because if Portland knows now that they can't leave that space open, they might push up a little. And if you're Orlando, perhaps that provides you to work through some seams. But, you know, they often say in sports, shoot, shoot. And in this case, I think you need that from Orlando, and we're going to see some substitutions now. Get some fresh legs on the pitch.
Orlando will bring in Jordan Listro, a 26-year-old from Canada, and Kylie Strom, a 20-year-old out of Endicott, New York. They replace Montefusco and Abello in the attack for Orlando. So they've now made 3 changes. Portland is yet to make 1. As we played slightly over an hour here at Providence Park. Great to have you with us for this match with our entire crew. And Erica Ayala, I'm Michael Watring. Great to have you with us. Come in and hang out. Sugita and Sauerbrunn scoring 5 minutes apart midway through the opening half are the differences in this match at this point. And it has been Portland in cruise control as they have scored multiple goals for a 5th consecutive match for the first time in a single season in club history. That'll certainly be potentially a booking, but they play advantage. Smith, Sophia Smith lays it back. Still space, but McLeod able to gobble it up after Coffey took aim.
Coffey, not a whole lot on that. Maybe got a little congested there, right in the middle of the pitch. But again, Orlando, while they crunched in on the space, they still weren't able to secure that ball so close to their keeper.
Smith puts it home! Sophia Smith, 7th of the year. Terrific shot from beyond the 18-yard box, and it's 3-0 Portland.
What a talent Portland has in Sophia Smith. You see Becky Sauerbrunn head up, dribbles up, finds Smith, who's able to open up those hips past Presley, create separation. And Smith says, oh, I can shoot from out here too. And converts. 3-0 Portland.
That is the 5th goal conceded by Orlando this year from outside of the box. And that was the first time this year that Portland has scored from outside of the 18. And of course, it's Sophia Smith. 7 of them now on the season. And she has now scored or assisted in each of the last 5. And the Thorns completely in control, ahead 3-0.
If you're Orlando, or quite frankly, anyone but Portland in this league, you really have to mark up Sophia Smith. Can't give that space, because either she's going to strike, and maybe your keeper does make a save, as we saw earlier, but that's how Sauerbrunn was able to get a goal. It wasn't off of Sophia's foot, but or just going to go for it herself. Have to eliminate all space and time for a player like Sophia Smith, and Orlando wasn't able to do that, and they had to pay for it.
Bogarsh. Good hustle by Orlando. But eventually goes out for a goal kick. The biggest thing, I think, right now, if you are Portland, trying to secure that clean sheet. Certainly feel like the 3 points are secured now against an Orlando side that has registered 3 total shots in the match, being outshot 14-5 at this point, or 14-3 rather. They give an assist to Becky Sauerbrunn on that Sophia Smith strike, so quite the day for the 36-year-old who grew up in St. Louis.
For Orlando, we saw that Jenkins came up with a big shot, made Bixby work. It's been few and far between, but Bixby has had to make some saves on this Orlando team.
This ball will go out for a goal kick as well. Just look at the touches inside of the opposing boxes right now. 26 for Portland, just 12 for Orlando. And the chances have showcased that as well, as Portland has seized control. 7 shots on target in the match. That is more than Orlando has taken as a team.
And on the one hand, Portland is just such a great team right now.
There's some space here. Bixby, good sprawling effort. A runner going towards the opposite post to where that pass came from Courtney Peterson. I think Bixby might have landed on this ball as she comes up uncomfortable. Cuico is beaten by Peterson.
You see really sprawling out there, as you mentioned. He's definitely headed to that far post. Bixby comes up, and I almost thought that it might have been an easier save, but if ever there was a Willie Mays save to be made in soccer, coming on it late, that's what Bixby did. Full extension, nearly. And not the softest landing, but Bixby is back up.
Bixby has 4 clean sheets this year, looking for a 5th after she had 9 a year ago.
I want to see Orlando looking upfield. I see sometimes in the midfield that they almost have their back to their own goal, or I should say to their attacking goal. You gotta open up those hips, try to turn on a dime, get past your opponent.
Another substitution for the Pride. Erica Timrak replaces Julie Doyle as the 4th second half substitute for this Orlando crew.
Looking to get something going. Timrak's been in this league for quite some time.
2-time NWSL champion and a former Rookie of the Year in the NWSL.
It's back to to those KC days, not the current KC team, but FC KC. That was quite the squad.
2014-2015 champs. As Sam Coffey pushes this one in the box, McLeod being aggressive, leaps up and takes it. The black jerseys were surrounding her. She wanted a foul. Instead, cleanly taking control.
It was Rodriguez there mixing it up. It was good to let the teams play on.
Another look at this kick from Coffey. Rodriguez right in the middle, making the contact with McLeod. Moultrie, Hubley, all in the area as well.
So if there's a player of this match for Orlando, I think it's heads and shoulders McLeod. Might have a more difficult voting process for Portland. Although Becky Sauerbrun's going to be in the mix. Goal and assist.
And as part of that back line, she can help take credit for perhaps a clean sheet if they can hold that up over the final 20 minutes. Just looking for some type of attack at this point, but Rodriguez stepping in front, nearly had the interception. Now Smith joins the defense as Portland looks to clear. Finally played by Becky. James. Have been very few for Orlando in this match. Jan's daughter. A lot of these builds have eventually turned into turnovers as they start to push some bodies forward, looking to get one back. There's some space now and good combination work. Jenkins, two defenders on her, and Bixby again able to handle a shot attempt from the top of the chalk.
See Jenkins with a little bit of a deke. You've seen Orlando more or less play not only pretty direct, but conservatively. And you wonder if being on the road out of what you might consider a more home routine is starting to bring in a fatigue factor. But I don't know that they've ever really hit their stride in this match so far, as you mentioned already. Within the last 20, barring any stoppage time that we'll get. That's when you gotta dig deep and just have one or two players that are willing to push beyond the limit and bring the rest of the squad with them. Get some energy and excitement as this Orlando Pride squad.
One of the biggest overall moments of focus for Orlando has been the 1v1 matchups of this game as this ball's flown into the box. Portland able to clear it away. Sophia Smith already has one in this match. Moultrie, space forward. Moultrie back for Smith. Sophia Smith saved by McLeod. Not completely out of trouble yet, Sugita. Smith, Sophia Smith rifles one through. Moultrie can't quite connect.
My goodness. This is what makes Portland and Sophia Smith so fun. Fighting that battle, tosses it a little give and go with Moultrie. Head up, finds Smith again. Great save by, again, Orlando's player of the game, Aaron McLeod.
and is able to push that away just far enough for Orlando to clear.
Substitutions coming in for Portland. Yasmin Ryan and Natalie Beckman come onto the pitch. Coffee and Becky's shifts come to a close for the Thorns. And with a 3-0 lead, can Portland strike for a little bit more?
You know, they're quite capable. We saw them hit that 4th spot against Houston.
It's been a fine run of form here for Portland. Donner. Orlando will reset its shape.
Just need an extra spark, Orlando does. Not only to see what they can get done in this match, but it's that momentum that they want to be able to build. They talked about it coming out of the match against Chicago. And I'm not sure they were able to parlay exactly what they wanted against this Portland squad. So what can they do in these last handful of minutes in this second half to find that again?
Orlando's going to make a change as well. Michaela Clough, 2 goals on the season, replaces Maggie Doherty-Howard. And Clough has had a very, very good season. Coach Hines saying that she's been great. It's always difficult coming from the college to the pro setting with high expectations, but she's matured into her role and certainly going to be a key player for this team moving forward.
Leads Orlando in goals with 2. So a nice spark off the bench. It's essentially what we've been calling for this Orlando squad. Having to make that transition from college, but sometimes, you know, the young bucks, they come in and you just play. What have you got to lose? You're in the pros, playing against likely, and maybe even with players that you watched growing up. Just go for it.
Very good work there by Sugita. Shoe comes off. Moultrie from outside of the box. McLeod saves.
Case in point, young talent coming in, making a mark. Moultrie, youngest goal scorer in NWSL history, of course.
16 years, 9 months when she scored the 74th minute goal against Houston a week ago. Prior record was Ellie Carpenter 3 weeks before her 18th birthday for the Thorns in May of 2018. '77th minute here at Providence Park, and a 3-0 Portland lead. With Eric Ayala, I'm Michael Watrang. It's great to have you with us with our entire crew, bringing you the action here on a Sunday in the NWSL.
NWSL in their 10th season, and Moultrie is a unique story, right, of what happens when you're able to be 10 seasons strong and going for more. And you have players growing up knowing that this is what they want to do. And how will a league that's for such a long time felt like they were just trying to figure out how to survive, how do you now adjust to the Moultries, to the Rodmans that are impacting the game in different ways than the pioneers of a Becky Sauerbrunn, for example? It's an exciting time, not just for this league, but for women in sport.
Becky Sauerbrunn's day so far. This header nearly started things, but then she made good as she put in the second goal of the match in the 25th minute, had some fun with the teammates, and then added to her ledger with this assist to Sophia Smith, who who did very well from 20 yards away. A goal and an assist for Sauerbrunn in the match.
Still wearing that special Juneteenth captain's armband.
Here's Smith again, 3-0, Portland on top. Looking for a little bit more. Smith towing the line. Sugita, who has a goal in this one, lays it backwards. Kuika creates some real estate. Smith. Moultrie. Kuika! 4-0 Portland!
Never look back, never give up. This Portland team, oh, they're feeling it. And Kuika has had such a great match for Portland. If you're not paying attention, you might not see the little ways that Kuika's been able to impact the game. But I would say, feels fitting that Kuika's able to get this goal. Again, just collecting. Orlando not able to find the ball, either push it completely out and clear it, or utilize, as Portland has done, transition game to then get their own attack starting. They haven't been able to do that. Portland has made them pay.
Well, you were just talking about the youth. And once again, another build-up here. Smith! Kick coming up, and I was just about to say, Smith at 21 gives it to the 16-year-old Moultrie, and eventually finished off by Kuika, the youth, setting the stage for Kuika to put home her first career regular season NWSL goal. 4 more goals for Portland. Smith will take this corner kick. Aimed away out towards Kuika. Flies it back in, and McLeod will gobble it up. But back to your point about the youth, it helps when you can see growing up somebody doing something that you want to do and know that the option is available for you to potentially play as a professional. And certainly growing up, Portland has done well to give Olivia Moultrie a chance, and you never know what is going to come down the pipeline. As you mentioned, Trinity Rodman, all these young players making an impact here in the NWSL.
We'd be remiss to not mention, that the National Women's Soccer League has 21 players that have come back for 10 seasons of the league. That is a great deal of pioneers that have been with this league, some of them even with leagues prior to. And that consistency makes the difference, the sacrifice. As we see Kuika goes down here, a little shaken up.
Portland's going to make a couple changes here as well. Starting off, Taylor Porter, the 23-year-old out of NC State, is going to come into the match and replace Sam Coffey. And Olivia Moultrie's shift comes to a close with Marissa Everett entering the match. Exits with that assist. Portland looking for more here before this one closes out. And they get that break until July 1st for the international break.
Nice little heads-up play there by Kuika. Gonna flick that. It's a flick on, but off of
Orlando to get a throw in, and now here we go in transition.
Portland again, numbers forward. This ball hit a tad high by Yasmin Ryan.
As you mentioned, they had numbers, but I'm okay. I'm okay with this. Taking that shot. Everett to Yasmin, as you just mentioned. Just a little bit back. Sails that over the crossbar. But we've seen Portland do the passing. We've seen them, be able to shake up that back line. So being a little more direct and making the defense also have to play you face up and true. I like it. The versatility on full display of this Portland squad.
24 shots for Portland, 10 on target, 4 goals. Wika. Smith giving chase. McLeod. Last touch by Orlando. Ryan picks out Everett, who's in an offside position. It was a season high in terms of shots. The most shots on goal came in the opener. A dozen peppered Kansas City.
See this opportunity here, definitely offside, just runs over that back line and then reprimanded in the mildest of manners for maybe following up on that kick after the whistle.
Portland not taking the foot off the gas at all right now. Sugita nearly had an interception inside of the box.
I was going to say all gas, no brakes for this Portland squad.
Smith. Sophia Smith running, taking aim again! Sophia Smith ripples the rope! A brace for Smith! 5-0 Portland!
Aaron McLeod worked up after that one. Sophia Smith has the number of this Orlando team. Again, just clinical passing. Players know exactly where they are, where their teammates are, but you have to close rank. We talked about it earlier. You cannot leave Sophia Smith all the space, all the time. Decided, am I going to take this? Am I going to lay it off? You can't give Sophia Smith that much space, that much time. You take away the decisions, you make her go where you want, and we have not seen Portland be able to execute defensively in that manner.
A brace for Smith. Now 8 goals on the season.
So if you lost track at home, that is 5 goals for Portland.
Foul whistle here. Presley will get the yellow card here in the 88th minute. Well, 8 goals now on the year, and just like that, Smith is inched within 1 of Alex Morgan for the league lead.
And that's one way to claim some authority.
I think it's interesting, too, and Ian Wilkinson could speak to this perhaps after the match. You rewind, rather, back to June 8th. You had just beaten Angel City 3-0. You were up 2-0 80 minutes into the match against San Diego. And then Taylor Korniak scores 2 goals.
It's a 2-2 draw instead of taking 3 points, but how about the response ever since that? 9 goals to 0 in the last 2 matches.
So what you're saying is they took that personally?
Yes.
And, there are all these, we talk about the mental side of the game, and sometimes you have to play tricks on your own mind. You are not going to allow certain things to happen. You make a decision, you make a choice as a team to change completely how you're going to play. And it seems as though that's exactly what Portland has been able to do. Insert Michael Jordan meme.
This ball pedaled through, but pushed away. We're hearing a couple minutes of stoppage time. Well, it's back-to-back braces for Sophia Smith. She's scored now 5 goals in her last 3 matches. Does she have a hat trick in mind? She's still on the pitch, closing this one down.
And again, if Orlando's not going to mark up, hey, why not?
Goals for Portland. 3 here in the second half. After leading 2-0 at the break, Smith draws the foul.
And speaking of taking that personally, I do sense that Orlando is starting to get the message that they need to close ranks on Sophia Smith. Sometimes you also want to bring those players down to the turf. I was just reading about how Mia Hamm was one of those players. If you can't stop them, you just push them down to the ground. And it's about that time for Orlando.
Well, with goals in 3 straight matches, Sophia Smith is 1 behind Tobin Heath's club record. Heath 4 consecutive in August, September of 2018. The Portland all-time mark for consecutive games with a goal.
Evoking the memory of Tobin Heath the day before she makes her return, but to OL Reign. Oh!
This ball played low. There's a lot of space. It is 6-0 Hannah Betfort. Welcome to the NWSL, first career goal.
You see how excited this team gets for one another when they score. You can always tell it's a big occasion. They did so for Becky Sauerbrunn, again here. As you said, welcome to the league, Porter.
It was Taylor Porter, the 23-year-old, played collegiately at NC State. The last time she had scored a goal of any kind, it was in college, October of 2018 at Florida State. So it is 6-0. And there are just mere moments left in this match. Taylor Porter adding to it, and Smith again drawing a yellow.
Yep. And there it is, Orlando really targeting in on Sophia Smith. A little bit too late in my book. Would have been nice to find the physicality earlier in the game without having to go all in.
There is the final whistle, and a monster day at Providence Park. It is Portland 6 and Orlando 0, a dominant effort from the Thorns.
What a game from the beginning. Portland showed the type of football that they wanted to play. They remained consistent. Orlando could never find their stride, never truly played within their game. This is not a display of how they want to continue to push forward.
It is a 6-0 victory for Portland. We'll have the full-time highlights and wrap things up when we come back. It's a historic day at Providence Park as Portland matches the NWSL's record for most goals scored in a shutout, tying North Carolina from 2019 with a 6-0 victory. Let's get to the highlights. A lot to cover here in this match. We start in the 21st minute. It's off of a giveaway, a beautiful cross from Becky, and a fine finish from Sugita.
Flying Sugita! Nice volley to get Portland their first of many goals in this contest.
Well, it did take 20 minutes to get that one. Sugita getting her second of the season. And if you remember, it was moments before that Orlando nearly took the lead, but Portland seized control from that point forward. Becky Sauerbrunn finishing this one up after Coffey, an ambitious strike off of a free kick.
Becky Sauerbrunn, right time, right place. First goal of this NWSL season.
So Sauerbrunn pocketing the goal, and then the onslaught of the second half. Sophia Smith from outside of the box, a fine finish here off of a bounce, and it's 3-0 Portland.
Set up here by the captain, Sauerbrunn, to Sophia Smith. Remember that name, remember that number. It'll come up again.
That made it 3-0 in favor of Portland. 79th minute now. This was very well played overall by this group. Cuica starts it, eventually rolls it to Smith. She continues on her run, and Moultrie picks her out.
Look at the possession here, the passing game, putting on a clinic, able to get basically everything that they want. Orlando not stepping up, not creating a difficult shot for Portland.
86th minute now. Portland building through the middle. You mentioned earlier you need to remember the name. Well, Sophia Smith, again, this time left-footed, showing the overall skill set and a brace for a second consecutive match.
Assisted by Yasmin Ryan. That was the 5th goal. Oh, wait, there's more.
This one perfectly designed. And Taylor Porter entering into her account for the first time as a professional. Made it 6-0, and that matches the NWSL's record for most goals scored in a shutout. 6-0, dominant effort, season high for shots and shots on goal for the Thorns.
Love to see it. Also getting some of the young talent involved. Yasmin Ryan got the assist on the last 2 of those 6 Portland goals.
The final score in this matchup, Portland 6, Orlando 0. A dominant effort from the Thorns in this contest. And it is Portland taking 3 points into the international break. Providence Park going home happy. The final score, 6-0 Portland for our entire crew and my partner Erica Ayala. I'm Michael Watreng signing off. Thank you for watching this presentation of the NWSL.